Hi friends, this is Debarati, Managing Director Honorary for Center for Cyber Victim Counseling. Of late, I have noticed that young adults and children are becoming more and more addicted to their mobile phones, iPads, or even to specific websites, including social media websites, WhatsApp, Snapchat, etc. For example, when they are in a family gathering, or when they are with their friends, or even when they go to see a movie, etc., they may not pay full attention to that particular family gathering, or to friends gathering, or even to the movie. They keep on touching their phones to see that whether any new message has come or not, or they keep on seeing the mobile phone, opening the phone to see that whether somebody else has sent them any message or not. So this kind of addiction may have a very negative impact on the mental health of persons concerned. One of the reasons that this may have a negative impact is not only because of the addiction, but because of the risks of online harassment. What is online harassment? That means when the harassment is done through some specific websites or social media profiles, or even digital communication, messaging services, etc., that is on the cyberspace, and using some kinds of apps or technology, that is information technology, digital technology. There are different kinds of online harassment, as we all may know. These may include cyberbullying, trolling, revenge pornography, then cyber stalking, the creation of the fake profiles, impersonation through fake profiles, sextortion, spreading sexually explicit contents, especially to children and also to women, obscenity on cyberspace, etc. Now the question is, how do women and children especially become the soft target for the perpetrators, especially for such kinds of online harassment? We need to understand that when we are entering into a virtual relationship with somebody, we may not know that particular person in real life. So there can be difference of opinion, and even when the people are known to each other in the physical space, and when they are talking with each other in the virtual space, there can be difference of opinion. And even when a particular person is posting a photograph or an image or an audio visual clipping, there can be several persons who may not accept the way a particular person is trying to project himself or herself in that specific website. For example, I have seen many cases where young women or teenagers, they post pictures in Instagram, or they create YouTube videos, and those pictures may be a little bit skin revealing pictures. That means the child or the adult woman, she may be wearing short dresses, or she may be showing her whole lifestyle in the YouTube channels, etc. So in such cases, moral policing groups or people who just like to have instant fame, or who'd like to who are very much opinionated, that they want to express their opinion against such kinds of lifestyle of that person concerned, they might come up and they might post their comments, which may be extremely annoying, which may be insulting and derogatory also in certain circumstances. So where, I mean, these are actually the forms of trolling. And also when people start fighting with each other, especially when a particular person start posting very harsh comments, especially to one's timeline, or chatting messages, or even WhatsApp messages in a group, or even individually targeting that particular person, this bully starts posting very harsh comments or insulting comments. Cyberbullying may happen. Revenge pornography again is a kind of new type of online harassment, which had actually existed in the traditional form of crime. What happens in revenge pornography? Say for example, two people are connected with each other, they are emotionally attached with each other. Suddenly there is a rift in the relationship. So one person who may have the information of the other person may start creating some kinds of profile, or may start creating some kinds of audio visual clippings with the images of the former. and may start also publishing certain kinds of text messages which may be extremely derogatory, may present this particular person in a very wrong way. These are all done for taking revenge. So this is a kind of revenge pornography which may land this particular person's, that means the victim's image in some pornographic websites, and also not only in pornographic websites but also in the social media websites, where the particular person's image may be consumed as a porn material. Not only this, I have also seen cases where images of very young children, they have been distributed. I mean, they have first been stolen from the profile owners, who may be the parents themselves, and they have been circulated to certain groups where these kinds of people, they have actually consumed these kinds of photographs as sexually gratifying photographs. So this is actually the tale of deep dark web. Other than this, I have also seen, for example, cyber stalking. Again, cyber stalking means, monitoring, creating threat, etc. Especially when there is a mens rea for creating, some fear, some kind of fear in the mind of the victim. If you ask me that whether the laws which we have in India presently to deal with such kinds of online harassments are okay or not, I definitely do not think that these laws are still now satisfactory, because even though after the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, new laws such as cyber stalking prohibition preventive law in the form of section 354D has come up, or voyeurism, anti-voyeurism law section 354C has come up, or even section 509, which actually used to, traditionally it used to address eve teasing, that means harming the modesty of women in the real life, etc. They have been developed, improved to address commenting sexually explicit or lewd comments, etc. in the cyberspace. But still there is some legal lacuna. For example, when we speak about cyber stalking law, or when we speak about voyeurism, we always get to see that the perpetrator is always a man. It actually means that the law does not recognize a woman victimizing another woman by way of cyber stalking or voyeurism. Now, for children especially, there is actually good provision, that is POCSO Act, which by virtue of section 11 of the POCSO Act, grooming, cyber stalking, etc., data mining for the purpose of using the child for pornographic purposes, etc., these can be addressed. Also, one can also look at Information Technology Act, especially section 67B can be used for preventing child pornography. Unfortunately, I have seen that there are certain lacunas which have not been addressed either by IPC or by POCSO Act or by IT Act. For example, revenge pornography. No law as such address revenge pornography, because even though some may have suggested that the law which is meant for voyeurism, the same law is also there in a different way, in a different form in IT Act, which speaks about privacy infringement, and also in the POCSO Act, unfortunately it does not speak about the element of revenge. So I think the government should bring up a new revenge pornography law, where not only the perpetrator should be penalized for creating the revenge pornography, but also the service provider should also be made liable, because if in case that particular revenge pornography content has been reported by the victim, but it has not been taken care of by the service provider, and because of the service provider's negligence, this particular content has been spread widely, and it has damaged the reputation of that particular victim. Further, I have seen that the laws, say it for POCSO Act or for IPC or for Information Technology Act, it may not have spoken properly about the rehabilitation of the victims of cybercrime. Also, we need to understand that the perpetrators, especially when they are children, how they should be counseled, how they should be rehabilitated, and how the punishments can be effective for them. This has to be broadened, this has to be discussed again and again, and also wide sensitization is needed to address such kinds of problems. Now, coming to the problem, how the victims should deal with victimization. I must say, personally, I have been victimized by way of cyber stalking some years back, and my stalker was a woman. So definitely, as you can see, the lacuna that our laws do not address, cyber stalking, which may have been done by a woman to a woman. There was this lacuna for which I actually could not take the matter to the police, but I had taken some rational coping mechanisms whereby I could come out from this kind of victimization. So, for following these kinds of rational mechanisms, something that you or any person has to follow, number one is that don't panic. Don't take any irrational coping mechanism like threatening the perpetrator or counter bullying the perpetrator, or even like giving more limelight to the perpetrator by going to the media and talking about that particular victimization, that I had been a victim by this kind of online harassment. Or even I have seen many YouTubers trolling messages do pour in their YouTube channel comments, post sections, and immediately they come up with some kinds of new videos where they say that this is not proper right to speech, and it is a limitation, it is beyond free speech right. So these kinds of things should better be avoided. What is to be done in such cases? I can say about my own example. I have a very nice family who are very supportive to me. So when this cyber stalking was happening, it was really disturbing for any person, maybe, I mean, anybody, like child, woman, or man. That I used to get messages. I mean, within half an hour, I was like bombarded with 50 mails, and then I discussed this thing with my family, and we all decided holistically to block this person so that she cannot further contact me. And we also blocked, I mean, all of us, we blocked this particular person in all our social media profiles so that she cannot reach to me or any of my family members to harass either me or any of our harassers. I do understand that blocking may always not be helpful, but what I suggest is that once you have taken the screenshot of this particular harassing messages or the harassment itself, you can definitely try to ignore this person and avoid communicating with this person, or avoid communicating about this person. So what this will actually result in is that slowly the tendency to or the eagerness to harass the victim may slow down, but it may not be always successful. And for this, for offenses like cyber stalking, or for revenge pornography, especially for creation of sexually explicit contents and spreading it to the sending it to the recipients, the victim must report these things first to the service provider and also to the police. It may happen that the police may not be able to understand that particular offense, or may consider this as a very trivial offense, or may start victim blame game. But we have to have patience as victims. We can definitely contact some NGOs, or we can definitely contact the higher government authorities also. We can also, especially if the victim is a woman, she can also go for state commission for women's rights. Or if the victim is a child, definitely the child protection mechanisms, state government mechanisms can also come in for helping. What I believe is that when such kinds of offenses or online harassments are growing in number and nature, I think we all should join hands with each other, especially NGOs, experts like legal experts, cyber security experts, UNICEF, and then government machineries like, for example, the National Commission for Women, National Commission for, especially for protection of children's rights, State Commission for Women, etc., and obviously district legal service authorities. I being from the legal fraternity, I always believe that if these particular offices, government offices, private stakeholders, and also the service providers, we all join together, I think we can address these kinds of online harassments. And also victim counseling. We should always keep in mind that once a victim, you you obviously become a victim for lifelong, but you should not become a perpetrator. You should also know how to deal with such kinds of victimization and trauma. I have seen women who have been trolled in YouTube channels because they have created some YouTube videos, or who have been trolled because of their Instagram pictures, or even for bullied victims, and especially the kids, children. They become extremely shaky. They become nervous. They do not want to come out and speak, and like they have the withdrawal symptoms. So as a cyber victim counselor, I can always say that family support is the most needed thing. If a particular child becomes a victim of any kind of online harassment, he or she should have a direct communication with the parents. Also, a plea to the parents or a request to the parents: do not start the victim blame game with the child. What has happened has happened. It's like an accident. Now stand with the child and try to help the child out. And how you can help the child? Obviously, if it is a graver offense, like some kinds of creation of the pornographic material with the child, or hacking of the child's email ID, or grooming of the child, you can definitely visit the nearest police station. Or if the police persons are not able to understand your plea, or your the process of victimization, the persons, that means the parents, can definitely see the higher officials. They can also contact the stakeholders, NGOs, etc., so that we can also pitch in, we can also help to reach to the police and also to the courts. I think if we all join hands together, online harassment targeted to children, and also women, and also to men, may be controlled, may be regulated, may be prevented. Let us join hands together. Let us not go for bad speech. Let us all go for good speech. Thank you.